Hey everyone, Rob here from Gunfather Milsim. This is going to be take two of the tactical light video I'm doing. You wouldn't know this at home, but I basically had this whole video done and I'm like 2 minutes late. The memory card took a shit in my ancient camera and therefore starting all over. So this one's going to be better, I promise, just take my word for it. So as I said, today we're going to talk about tactical lights, both handheld lights and weapon lights, and for both handgun and rifle. In my experience, airsoft players get notoriously cheap and crappy tactical lights. They tend to buy them from the same places they buy their airsoft gear, not realizing that there's better high quality lights available for just a little bit more money, and for the investment in money you're going to get 10 times the quality. The tactical light industry has changed a lot in the last 10 years, and the price of some of these lights has come way down. Okay, so I've been a police officer for almost 18 years now. The vast majority of my career was at night, so I've used a lot of different flashlights. I'm just going to share some of my insight over the years on what lights I use, show you some examples of lights I still use to this day, and understand that I don't have a lot of really newer flashlights right now, simply because of the old ones that I use are still working and they just never die, and I'm kind of one of those guys. I have a hard time buying new expensive equipment when my old stuff's still working, but I do kind of keep up on it a little bit so I can give you some insight. All right, so for starters, let's talk about hand lights. Now, you can't talk about tactical flashlights without talking about the 800-pound gorilla in the room, the company that is Surefire. Okay, Surefire is the shit. All right, they've been around for a long time. Their stuff is twice as good as everybody else, and it costs 3 times as much. And the main thing you're paying for with Surefire, and this is coming from a Surefire fan who's owned many Surefire lights, you're paying for durability. Okay, they are built like tanks. Any reputable company, whether it be Streamlight, Surefire, I'm a big fan of Fenix, we'll talk about them in a minute, they all have excellent warranties. You send it into the company and they're going to cover it. Okay, so it's not really a warranty thing as much as just a raw durability thing. Having said that, all the lights I've used have broken. Everything breaks eventually. I don't care what it is. But Surefire is definitely the king of durability. Is that good if you're going to carry it over a mountain? Absolutely. Do you need that durability if you're just a regular, like me, a SWAT jock or cop or airsoft player? Probably not. Okay, but there are ride or die Surefire guys. Got a partner at work. He's that guy. He just Surefire. It's not Surefire shit, and God bless them. And I like their lights, but man, are they expensive. So we'll talk about them a little bit because I actually have a couple examples here. For starters, with hand lights, I'm going to talk about my favorite company for a while now is Fenix, Fenix. It's they're Chinese-made lights. Some call them knockoff lights, but I think in recent years they've actually risen above the knockoff status into an actual tactical light company. They do not make a lot of weapon-mounted lights. They make a lot of great hand lights, but you can with the right mounts, you can make them into some really nice weapon-mounted lights for airsoft that I'll show you here in a minute. This is my TK11. Okay, this is an old school light. I think I've had this thing for 16 years. It has now been relegated to a kitchen drawer light. Okay, but the damn thing still works great. This only has 2 lumen settings, that being 110 and 220. And by modern current standards, that's like ridiculously low. And I was like, oh, I don't want to mess with a 220 lumen light. However, I remember back in the day when a Surefire M500 weapon-mounted light was 90 lumens, and 90 lumens was the shit. And that light was like $400 or $500, and it ran on CR123s. I think you had to put 3 of them in there, and it lasted for about an hour. For 90 lumens for an hour, had a bulb. It was, and that light was the shit. Now, granted, this was 20 years ago, but just understand that lots of people got by with 90 lumens for many years. Is more lumens generally better? Yeah, more or less, but you don't need 1,000 lumens for everything, especially for just a handheld light. For basic general purpose light, I put it on the 220, works great. These are nice because in an age when all the lights were running off CR123s batteries, which are expensive-ish, this runs on an 18650 stick battery. These have really taken off because they're rechargeable, and that really is all there is to it. And these batteries last a really, really long time compared to a CR123. I think when I was working at night, work phone was calling and it shut up. Okay, when I was working at night, I would recharge this thing about every other month. They last a really long time. So these are great. Once again, 16 years, has never broken, never failed. How much reliability do you want day in, day out? Now, my airsoft gun, my M4, my ICS M4, this is that same light. This is a Fenix TK11. These things cost like $80. Runs the same 18650 rechargeable light. I use this thing on airsoft. I recharge it maybe once a year right before I go to an op that's going to be indoors. I'm going to need a light. The mount, you know, the pressure pad mount cost maybe $20 from Fenix, and I wire it up. I had to do a little bit of rigging to get it wired up how I like, real close to the weapon like this. This one in particular, because I needed a 1-inch M-lock mount. I like mounting my lights kind of at that little 2 o'clock right there, real close to the rail system. This is Odinworks. Odinworks makes a 1-inch mount M-lock that works for these. And let me see, that cost, Odinworks M-lock 1-inch mount was 40 bucks. One of my favorites. But so, you know, 40 bucks, 60 bucks for a light, 20 bucks for the pressure pad. What's that, 120 bucks, and I got a rechargeable weapon light that works great. I think the charger is like another $20. So this is my go-to. This is my airsoft, you know, weapon light go-to. Once again, set it on 220 lumens, which is plenty for me for CQB. Some guys want more, and more is always nice, but for the money, you can't beat this. Someday it's going to break, maybe not. It's going to take a BB strike, but I'm not really out much because this thing doesn't owe me anything after 16 years of having it. So that is my current setup for my airsoft weapon light, is that Fenix TK11. They don't even make the TK11 anymore. Now they make the TK16, which is a similarly sized light, but now it's got like 5 brightness settings. You don't have to pull the battery out to recharge it. It's got a USB port that you just stick a USB charger in, and it has a strobe. It has all sorts of crap, and it still costs like 80 bucks. So look up the Fenix TK16 if you want a real nice, affordable hand light for whatever. So, like I said, I've retired that light. That light now sits in my kitchen drawer. And what have I moved on to at work? Well, now I use the Fenix UC35. Uses the same 18650 stick battery. It just has more features. It's got like 5 brightness settings, maybe 6, something like that. If I hold down this button, it'll go into a strobe that I never use, but some people think strobes are the shit, so just so you know, it has it. I don't know, belt clip, tail mounted light, USB rechargeable. This thing's awesome. Once again, costs like, I think these are like 65 to 80 bucks, somewhere in there. Awesome lights. I don't use these as weapon mounted lights. You could if you wanted to. So if you want to have a 1,000 lumen weapon light, there you go. Get yourself a Fenix UC35. Personally, I wouldn't use it for that. I think probably the TK series is probably the better way to go for a weapon light, but this is definitely an option. So that's what I use now for a hand light. I use one on SWAT and one on just regular detective crap. And I don't work at night anymore, so I don't really burn through my batteries like I used to. But even then, I recharge that thing about every 4 months because I feel like I probably should. I feel obligated to recharge it, but I probably don't have to even that often. So let's move on to pistol lights. For pistol mounted weapon lights, Surefire is king. Surefire is still king. They don't, to my knowledge, there's not a reputable rechargeable pistol light. If I'm wrong, I'm sure some YouTube watcher will correct me in the comments and prove how amazing they are, and good for you. So currently, and any airsoft gun, or I have a couple of real steel guns here I'm going to show you, just because the weapon, the light happens to be mounted on a real steel gun. They're all loaded. Once again, YouTube commenters, don't come after me. These are all safe. So this is current airsoft handgun. What the hell is this thing? Elite Force Glock 17. I don't use airsoft handguns hardly at all. So And what do you see mounted on it? That is a Surefire X200 weapon light. Why do I have a Surefire X200 weapon light? Because I've had this thing for 16 years, maybe 17 years, and otherwise it'd be sitting in a tote if I wasn't using it for airsoft. A lot of my retired gear becomes airsoft gear. So this thing works great. This is probably about 200 lumen light. You can't even buy these anymore either. At the time these cost 300 bucks. Now they have the X300 and X400. If I were to buy a weapon light now with my own money, I'd probably go with a Surefire X400, but those cost like $350. Run on CR123s, and they are awesome. Okay, but they are also very expensive. Thus, because I still have this one, I run on airsoft, but they are really expensive. This particular light, this one actually broke on me, and instead of sending it into Surefire, I just resoldered the battery connections and inside it, and it's worked great ever since. I think I had it for like 5 years and it finally took a dump. So people that think Surefire stuff never breaks, that's not true. It does break. All lights break. If you have them and use them long enough and abuse them enough, they all will break. That's not to say it's a shitty light. Good equipment can still break. It just shouldn't break that often. So Surefire X200 light, great, go with the X400. But that is not what I use professionally, because that is not what the city buys me. I wish the city would buy me that, but their city budgets are a real thing, and therefore the city buys me the Streamlight TLR1 HL. Now, I am not a fan of Streamlight, at least I wasn't, and the city kept buying them for me over and over again, so over the years I got lots of operational experience using Streamlight products. So it's kind of like the discount. You know, if you can't afford Surefire, get Streamlight. But Streamlight makes really good stuff. Would I prefer Surefire? Yes, but I use what the city buys me. So this particular light, this weapon, for what it's worth, is a Glock 21 SF. This is my old team gun that got retired. The city was nice enough to let me buy it for a very nice price. And now we have new Glock 21s, so we just switched to the same gun, but also still using the same light, but this light came with it. This one's, I believe, about 800 lumens, and this is my go-to primary light working professionally. When I'm running a bunker one-handed, this is my go-to light. Now this runs on CR123s. This will eat up some batteries. Okay, it likes batteries, so I replace these batteries probably about once a month. Depending on how much I'm working, how much I'm using the light. Not this particular light, but the one I use at work, which is identical to it. So, like the Streamlight TLR ones, they're good. The Surefires are better. These cost 100 bucks. The Surefire X400 cost 350 bucks. If you're gonna take it over a mountain, go with the Surefire. If you're gonna just, you know, be a normal human being, the Streamlight will serve you well. All right. So that is my speech on pistol weapon lights. Now, moving on to the last one. Talking about Streamlight. Streamlight a couple years ago came out with their ProTac series. This is a neat setup because, and this particular one's on one of my 300 blackout pistols. So this is a real steel firearm. Relax, clear and safe. Anyway, so you can see this is a ProTac light. The cool thing about these setups is it comes with the light, pad, and the rail mount. All of it's included. And there's a lot of different versions of these. There's a 350 lumen, a 625 lumen, and about a 1,000 lumen one. They all cost between $90 and $110, depending on where you're going to find them. You can find them on sale often for 90 bucks. But it's all included. I cannot put a tac light together for an airsoft gun, a quality one, cheaper than this. Even using Fenix and buying Fenix's mount like I have here on my airsoft gun. I believe when we talked about this earlier, it was like 120 bucks to put this together. This thing's 90 and it's done and it's ready to go, and it has a ton of features. It's programmable. It has if you want to have a strobe function, it does have a strobe. I turn the strobe off because strobe pisses me off. But for the money, you can't beat this. This is the 350 lumen version. I wanted it because it was really small. It was a small weapon. I wanted a really light. So I got the 350 lumen model. I believe on SWAT, our current team rifles, we use these, and I believe we use the 625, but we might be using the 1000. Couldn't tell you for sure. All looks the same to me when you're clearing a house. But if you're looking for a quality airsoft weapon light and you do not want to spend 400, 500 bucks mounting a Surefire on there, these Streamlight Pro-Tacs are great for the money. They do have a lot of different battery options. This one in particular can run on CR123s or AA batteries. Some of the larger ones, I believe, can run on the 18650s. This one cannot. You just can't beat it. I really like that light. Speaking of Surefire, though, back in the day, if you bought a Surefire weapon light, it was going to run on CR123s, and Surefire liked to sell you their batteries, and they were expensive. They were good, but they ran out. You know, they burned up batteries just like all lights do. Recently, in recent years, I say recently, I think they came out 2-3 years ago, Surefire came out with some dual fuel technology, probably because they were getting their ass kicked by companies like Fenix that had rechargeable sticks. And so Surefire now has dual fuel lights that can run off CR123s or the 18650s. So it definitely makes that a much better option. Now, are they expensive? Yes, all things Surefire are expensive. But what I always tell people is they're twice as good and cost 3 times as much. But they're great lights. Once again, fan of Surefire. I've had lots of Surefire lights, lots of Streamlight lights, and lots of Fenix lights. I've had Streamlight lights break. I've had Surefire lights break. I've never had a Fenix light break. Does that mean that Fenix is better than Surefire? No, not at all. It just means that I haven't had one break yet. Just dumb luck. You know, everything breaks. All mechanical things will break. I used to have a Surefire light. It was like the Raid 720V or some bullshit like that. Retails 800 bucks. I didn't spend 800 on it. I spent, I think, 450. Loved it. Great light. Real cool. But kind of heavy. And used CR123s, and it burned through them fast. And it had a lot of cool features that, well, I don't really use night vision that often, so the IR light option wasn't that cool. It wasn't really worth it to me. The weight was not worth it to me, and the durability was just not what I was looking for the money. So I sold it. And now I run the Streamlight Pro-Tacs on damn near every rifle I own, because it's just such a great light for the money. So I don't mean to be too hard on Surefire, but if you want an affordable airsoft option or a hobbyist shooting option, you really can't beat that Streamlight. So those of you with keen eyes may notice that the perspective of the camera has changed slightly because my battery died in my camera. It's almost like this video is just destined not to happen, but we are soldiering on and we are going to finish it. Good news is I was pretty much already done. So in summary of tactical lights, the big 3 that I use are Surefire, Streamlight, and Fenix. Of those 3, as far as weapon mounted lights go, you can't really beat the Streamlight Pro-Tac series. Affordable, about 90 bucks. Everything's included. Great light for any airsoft context. Surefire is still king. It's twice as good, costs 3 times as much, and if you're willing to spend the money, go for it. All 3 of those companies have great warranties, so they're all 100% warranted. I've actually went to all 3 of the companies and checked out their warranties on their website, and they're all pretty much exactly the same. So the warranty is not really an issue. It's all about how much money you want to spend for your gear. I will probably do a video coming up about, just a real short one, about using light tactically in low light situations, but not a big fan of that shit, because it's mostly common sense. If you just use it long enough, you'll kind of figure it out. But people make a lot of money running those classes. But that's for another day. So if you want to discuss in the comment section that I'm sure the Surefire fanboys are going to come out the woodwork. Oh, Surefire's a shit, and Fenix is crap, and Streamlight, cool. Justify your purchase. I get it. But thanks for watching.